Literally 1 hour ago, the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, just went to Davos and made a bombshell $700,000 Bitcoin prediction. Everybody is talking about this clip right here, but I believe we have all missed the signal from this clip that actually implies BlackRock is predicting a $12 million Bitcoin. Now, I know how crazy that is, but when we play this clip for you, I want you to listen very closely to the section bombshell interview where Larry Fink is talking about his discussions with sovereign wealth funds, the $50 trillion market, and his Bitcoin percentage allocations that he's recommending people to explore in portfolios, because as we're going to see, it kind of lines up very nicely with some of BlackRock's prior predictions and portfolio allocations. And of course, we're going to be running the numbers on Larry Fink's new Bitcoin portfolio allocation. Without further ado, I'm going to try to play this clip. I'm going to hope that we have audio, and we're going to get straight into this deep dive on BlackRock today.
The question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and that was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, that it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 for Bitcoin.
Does it also?
So that's the prediction. The prediction that everybody is talking about is the fact that we'd see a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 Bitcoin if sovereign wealth funds adopted a 5% allocation to Bitcoin. But I think there's a lot more to this story. Again, yes, the sovereign wealth fund market is over $50 trillion in size. It's enormous. It's massive. But this isn't the first time that Larry Fink has made a very, very bullish recommendation about Bitcoin and the size it should be in somebody's portfolio. Let's not forget, literally 1 month ago, BlackRock actually released this report right here that I'm going to try to find for you guys, titled Sizing Bitcoin in Portfolios. Now, I'm not going to rehash that entire video that we made for you guys because maybe it was something like a 30 to 40 minute video where we ran a lot of numbers and a lot of maths. The takeaway is that BlackRock is now recommending a 2% Bitcoin portfolio allocation. Now, this came out in December. Why has Larry Fink changed his tune? Why is he now recommending a 5% allocation to Bitcoin? It seems like he's really changed his tune quite quickly. And that's the point I kind of want to bring to your attention today. We're not only going to be looking at prior BlackRock reports and portfolio recommendations, because again, let's not forget, they did run a report way back in 2022 where they said the optimal Bitcoin portfolio allocation was actually not 2%, not 5%. It was actually 85%. For those who might have forgotten about that, we ran the numbers on that. And as you can see, what would happen if the world wanted to rebalance to an 85% Bitcoin portfolio allocation? All of a sudden, you're left with some pretty bullish numbers, okay? I apologize. I've got a blocked throat. I'm sick as a dog, but I'm doing this live stream for you guys because we have to, absolutely have to talk about it, okay? Because we're not only going to stop there by looking at BlackRock's, 85% Bitcoin portfolio allocation. There's actually been some other times that BlackRock has had some pretty interesting things to say about Bitcoin. Again, before we get there to what their quants are saying, we can see this is the data, this is the facts, this did happen. BlackRock did publish a report on Bitcoin saying that, hey, over the past 10 or 15 years of Bitcoin's life, we actually recommend an 85% Bitcoin allocation because that has been the optimal strategy. I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. This is a true report. This happened. And again, let's remind you guys, this is the world's largest asset manager. This is a screenshot from their mega report, you can see it very clearly. Let's zoom that all the way in and remove my big head. BlackRock is saying that, hey, a 60-40 equity bond portfolio is great. Don't get me wrong, but Bitcoin does have a volatility, but having a large allocation dominates the portfolio. Okay, again, they ran the numbers, they ran the maths. They ran the maths. So did we, though. Because you can see, I think everybody's running their Bitcoin maths calculations wrong, including BlackRock, including Larry Fink in this brand new interview that has dropped. I actually think Larry has forgotten a very pivotal, point in this interview that dropped this morning at Davos, literally this morning at Davos. And that all has to do with this thing right here, the Bitcoin multiplier effect. Now, this is actually where there is a large discrepancy between the number that I've got on today's YouTube thumbnail, $12 million Bitcoin, and the number that Larry Fink referenced in that interview I just played for you. He said, what happens if 2%, 5% of the sovereign wealth fund market FOMOs into Bitcoin? Because again, I want to play the clip for you again, but I'm not going to subject you to that. He said he is having discussions with sovereign wealth funds, and the question is right now, it's not whether I should buy Bitcoin. Larry Fink just told you that the discussion with the sovereign wealth funds that he is having is how much Bitcoin should I hold? It is not a discussion of should I own Bitcoin? No. We are well and truly past that stage in this story. Larry Fink just told you the discussion is should I have a 2% Bitcoin allocation, a 5% Bitcoin allocation? All of a sudden, I think we're beginning to witness what we've predicted we would see for a very long time, and that is competitive FOMO, and the allocations just continuing to rise and rise and rise as other nation states and other public corporations who have adopted Bitcoin first and early begin to outperform their competitors. Again, this is going to be competitive FOMO. We are going to see a competitive race in the Bitcoin space. Those who adopt it first, like El Salvador, right now are squatting on $500 million worth of profit, or the Kingdom of Bhutan. How much profit are they squatting on? A lot. Right now, they're squatting on about $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin. The entire country has a GDP of $2.5 billion. Half of their GDP is plowed into Bitcoin. Think about that. It's big. But what we're beginning to see is the laggards say, hang on a minute, gone are the days of questioning whether we should own Bitcoin or not. It is now a question of how much Bitcoin we should own. So again, let's run some numbers. Let's show you why we could see $12 million Bitcoin and why Larry Fink's brand new interview today implies that that is where the world is going. So we're going to do that by running some maths with a 5% Bitcoin allocation. Now again, Larry was first talking about the sovereign wealth funds. This is the market Larry is talking about. We got a $1.2 trillion sovereign wealth fund out of Norway. We got a $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund out of China. We have 2 sovereign wealth funds out of the Middle East here. We have the Abu Dhabi and the Kuwait sovereign wealth funds, both collectively squatting on just over $500 billion in their sovereign wealth funds. We've also got a couple in Singapore, and we have a Hong Kong sovereign wealth fund. So in total, the sovereign wealth fund market is somewhere around 30 to 50 trillion. Again, we don't have all of the public data, but we do know it's somewhere around 30 to 50 trillion dollars. Now, Larry's saying if we get just 5% of that, that's going to take us to $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a coin. That is his exact words. Think about how crazy that is. He literally said $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a coin. It's crazy. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? But I think Larry's missing a big point. And again, he's a smart man. I'm not saying he's not, but I think something that everybody in the Bitcoin space does wrong is they do not factor into their equation or their Bitcoin maths the chart I'm about to put on screen. This here is the Bitcoin multiplier effect. That's what I like to call it. Willy Woo calls it the Bitcoin market cap gain per dollar invested chart. Bit of a mouthful. It's why I like to call it the Bitcoin multiplier effect. Right now, we can see by this little pink line, we are at 5.8. What does that mean? That means that for every $1 that wants to flow into Bitcoin, we can see that pink line is telling you that it actually pushes the Bitcoin market cap up by 5.8. Let's round up to 6 for easy, simplified mathematical purposes. Let's assume the Bitcoin multiplier effect today is 6x. Well, I ran some numbers before I got on today's stream, and I wanted to see where the price of Bitcoin would be if the entire world rebalanced to a 5% Bitcoin portfolio allocation like Larry Fink is recommending. Well, if you ran the maths, not the mush, I nearly said mustard. If you run the maths, 5% of $900 trillion of assets using that 6x Bitcoin multiplier effect takes you to something like $12.8 million per Bitcoin. Now that's just if we see the world try to rebalance to a 5% Bitcoin portfolio allocation. And again, this is what BlackRock is saying. All I'm saying is, hey, Larry, you've forgotten the fact that not all 21 million Bitcoin are available for sale. That's why you have to use the Bitcoin multiplier effect, because not all 21 million Bitcoin are available for sale. Bitcoin's incredibly scarce. Bitcoin is being gobbled up by nation states all around the world. We know that we're already living through an era of nation state FOMO. There are right now over 25 different regions from all around the world, as you can see on this chart, that are absolutely scrambling to get their hands on some Bitcoin. Again, this is the first 4-year period where we've seen Bitcoin leaving the exchange at an accelerated rate. We are living through a supply suffocation. Here's an even more updated chart showing that coins are flying off the exchange. This is why we have a Bitcoin multiplier effect, because not all 21 million Bitcoin are available for sale. Simply, you cannot get your hands on them. We know that only around 3 to 4 million Bitcoin actually circulate on exchanges and are readily available for sale. That's the liquid supply of Bitcoin. We know that. This is why we have to use a multiplier effect. For a little bit of fun, I might show you a couple of the other predictions and reports that our good friend Larry Fink has written about Bitcoin, because they're bullish. I teased you with the 2022 report earlier, but again, we're talking about coins on exchanges. It would be remiss of me to mention the fact that, hey, if you do have Bitcoin on exchange, please get your Bitcoin off an exchange. There are so many great exchanges out there, and there are so many great places and videos that will educate you on how to take self-custody of your Bitcoin. But I think I might have found a little bit of a middle ground solution for many people watching this stream. This is a little bit of an announcement, but I'm pretty thrilled to announce we've recently partnered up with someone who I think is the best Bitcoin exchange in the space. And that is because they force you to use self-custody Bitcoin by default. No, I'm not joking. That is true. It is possible. And that is what the guys at the Bitcoin Well are doing. Okay, I met Adam O'Brien, the CEO, in El Salvador. I absolutely love the guy, and I absolutely love what he's built. So again, I would recommend you guys to check out what the Bitcoin Well is doing. I think they're creating a much needed product in the space. Again, we love to recommend you guys to just keep it simple. Buy Bitcoin, get it off an exchange, self-custody that Bitcoin, and be prepared for the revolution that is going to be coming. So again, you can check out the link in the description of today's video to check out the Bitcoin Well. And once you do have your Bitcoin in self-custody, I always remind you guys, please, for the love of God, just take one more extra step. Spend an extra 30 minutes backing up those precious 12 or 24 words. Those are those things that you write down on a piece of paper after you get your little Bitcoin USB or your cold card or your hardware wallet. There's a lot of different options out there. And again, lots of great options. You can go get whatever hardware wallet you want to get. All I will say is that once you have your Bitcoin in hardware wallet, just back up those 12 or 24 word seed phrases on something that's actually going to survive the test of time. Again, we just had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of homes burned down in California. What would happen if there are Bitcoiners there with their Bitcoin hardware wallets in the same house as their little backup to their Bitcoin, their 12 or 24 words written down on a piece of paper? That's how 99.8% of Bitcoiners back up their hardware wallets. Again, I always encourage you guys, do not become just another statistic of somebody who has lost access to their Bitcoin. Always encourage you guys, back up your Bitcoin the way it should be backed up. And you can do that with the titanium plates from Stampseed that will survive fires, that will survive floods and being thrown at the bottom of the ocean. I always encourage you guys, just check out what Stampseed is doing. They've got a great product. I've actually got a funny story regarding Stampseed that I'm going to share with you guys in the not too distant future. And it will help you travel with your steel plates and get through airport security. I'm going to tell you about that story in another video. This one's already going a little bit long, but I will tell you can get 15% off anything you want to buy from Stampseed with a promo code Luke15. So again, check out the Bitcoin Well and Stampseed, linked down below in the description of today's show. But let's now get into the maths. I do want to play a little bit more of this video from Larry
of your economic
here in a moment,
political stability of your country,
because I do think it's going to be an interesting one. So we're going to bring back the video of Larry in a second, because he did make some other interesting points surrounding Bitcoin and some other rabbit holes that I'm not even allowed to talk about here on YouTube unless you want this channel deleted permanently. So I'm going to be really careful about those other rabbit holes. But what I do want to do is just remind you guys, look, yes, Larry Fink's been bullish on Bitcoin. Some of the maths that he has ran and some of the numbers and portfolio allocations that have been coming out of BlackRock are incredibly bullish. They're more bullish than you can ever imagine. Again, like we've showed you guys in the past, if the world tried to rebalance to Bitcoin with an 85% Bitcoin allocation, we've run the numbers before on this channel. We've showed you guys that that would imply a $146 million Bitcoin price tag in today's dollars. Nope, that is not hyperinflation. That is telling you that if the world did that, Bitcoin would be able to buy you something like 14 Malibu beach houses on the coastfront of California. They go for about $10 million a pop. And that's how I like to think about Bitcoin's purchasing power. You know, I like to equate it to goods and services. So again, those go for about $10 million a pop. And if Bitcoin's 146 million, that means Bitcoin will buy you 14 of those pretty nice houses. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind getting a house there. So that is what would happen. And again, at the time, have a look at what I have highlighted here. When we made that video for you guys nearly a year ago now, we were using a multiplier effect of 4.5x. What's the multiplier effect now? It's 5.8. It's close to 6. Look, again, I'm not even going to get bullish. I'm not even going to get crazy. I know that the world rebalancing to an 85% Bitcoin allocation, it's going to be challenging. You're going to get slippage. Not all of that money is going to flow from other asset classes into Bitcoin. Yes, it might take a while to see an 85% Bitcoin allocation. So I'm not going to rerun the maths with a 6x multiplier. All I am going to say is that most people are bearish Bitcoin. Most people think Bitcoin's fair value is $1 million a coin. It's going to be better than gold. It's going to be digital gold. Some people are even so bullish to say we might see $2 million or $3 million Bitcoin. I don't think they're in the ballpark. I think we really are looking at a Bitcoin price tag of tens of billions of dollars per coin. Again, that's conservative. I've showed you guys the numbers and the maths for why it could be worth a lot more. And again, I'm a little bit of a bulltard, but don't listen to me. Even conservatively, I think we should be thinking in the tens of millions of dollars per coin. Let's look at another little bit of a portfolio allocation that has come out of BlackRock previously. So the original paper where they reference an 85% Bitcoin allocation, this was done in 2022. Now this number that we're about to be exploring recently actually comes from a meeting in early 2024 where a BlackRock quant said in a closed door meeting that a 28% allocation to Bitcoin was not unreasonable. Again, very specific number, 28%. Where did he come with that? They've clearly ran the maths and they've run the numbers on that puppy. And when you run the numbers and you run the maths on that, if you use a 4x Bitcoin multiplier effect, you're looking at a $48 million Bitcoin. Again, the multiplier effect is 6x today, and I expect it to only rise and rise and rise over the coming years. Do your own maths, run your own assumptions. All I'm going to say is that I think most people are wildly bearish on Bitcoin and where it could go. To Bill D's comment in the chat, "El necesitas comprar una casa en España." He wants to buy a house in Spain. $1 million Bitcoin would probably get you a few houses in Spain, as long as you're not trying to buy one in Madrid. Property prices there are nuts. It's just nuts. Trying to get an Airbnb there is just stupid. Geez, Jake the Snake's getting pretty bullish in the chat here with these $1 million Bitcoin price predictions by 2025. It's incredibly bullish. I've got a video coming out talking about Bill D's other comment with BlackRock CEO talking with Trump. Saylor's been talking with Trump. We've seen some pretty crazy things that I think kind of back up what my man here, Satwise, in the chat has said. Sub 121 is the one. That rule, I believe, is about to be repealed in the not too distant future. I'm going to save that for a future video. I might film that when I'm in a different country, because I'm going to be in a different country pretty soon, very soon. I'm going to let you guys know which country I'm going to in the not too distant future. It's going to be in Central America. There's another conference. It's not El Salvador. I'm going to a different country. To Gio's point, I think we are under attack. I really do think we are under attack. If you are going to be going to that Bitcoin conference in February, that shall not be named, again, reach out to me, link up. John in the chat's already got me. It's in Costa Rica. That's right. There's a Bitcoin conference in Costa Rica I'm going to be checking out. Again, I don't have an affiliate link for the conference to get you a discount on tickets. Maybe I'll try to get you guys one. Because again, I'm going to be going. If you're going, and if you are looking to link up with some Bitcoiners, I always like to let you know about our other show sponsor, which is the Orange Pill app, which connects 14,000 Bitcoiners privately with other Bitcoiners, and it enables you to link up with Bitcoiners in real life. I think this is really important. Again, I've traveled to maybe 30 different countries, 60 plus different cities over the past 3 years. And again, a lot of people ask me, Luke, how do you meet so many Bitcoiners? Well, I do it by using this puppy right here. Use the Orange Pill app. Again, you can see stack friends who stack sats. There's 14,861 Bitcoiners using the Orange Pill app. Highly recommend you check them out. Super great product, very much needed product. Again, we are living through an era where the number of digital nomads is going exponential. There's 5 million digital nomads in 2018. Today, there's 35 million digital nomads. And can you believe it? There's only 14,000 Bitcoiners on the Orange Pill app. I think that number is going to grow. Get in early. Get yourself a life membership. So you're set for life, and you can use the Orange Pill app forever when millions of other Bitcoiners and when millions of other digital nomads become Bitcoiners, because that day is inevitable. So again, if you're in Costa Rica and you want to link up with some Bitcoiners, jump on the Orange Pill app and you will see me in Costa Rica. John's lived in Costa Rica. Okay, well, we got a question. I'm going to come back to BlackRock here in a moment, but I do want to quickly take a look at this chart because it's a hell of a chart. John's made an interesting point. ETH BTC right now looks like death. ETH is dying against Bitcoin. And again, this is just something the Bitcoin maxis have been telling you for a very long time. Be very careful. All altcoins trend to zero in Bitcoin over the long term. Yes, every now and then you can get lucky and you can catch one of these periods where an altcoin outperforms Bitcoin. Have a look at it on the chart. I'm not denying it. Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin in 2017 when the insiders who controlled all of the supply were able to create an artificial pump and dump to pump their bags. That's right. Vitalik created 70% of all of Ethereum's supply and distributed amongst his rich insider buddies. So naturally, why would you not create a pump and dump like this? To enrich your buddies who you've given all the supply. But since then, we've seen nothing but down only in the realm of Ethereum. Since then, to put some numbers on it, we can actually see Ethereum is down by 81% against Bitcoin since its 2017 high. And I do think Ethereum is bleeding and it is right now dying a slow death. It continues to make lower highs every few years against Bitcoin and it is trending to zero. Right now, Ethereum is currently at a, 3-year low against Bitcoin. It's at its lowest level since 2021. So it's a 4-year low, actually. Time flies when you're having fun. We're in 2025 right now. And just for the fun of it, it's a Wednesday afternoon. Let's touch on quantum computing and Bitcoin. Brock here has some interesting comments in the chat that I think are great to address before we talk a little bit more about BlackRock and Larry Fink's most recent interview. So I think what a lot of people miss who think that quantum computing is a threat to Bitcoin is the fact that just because you break the cryptography of Bitcoin doesn't mean you've broken Bitcoin. That's not the special thing about Bitcoin. Quite the contrary. Bitcoin uses very old encryption, SHA-256. Secure hash algorithm, 256. The valuable thing about Bitcoin is it's decentralized money, you're right, Brock, but it's an incorruptible ledger. The rules cannot be changed unless you reach a mass consensus. And if we were to see Bitcoin's encryption algorithm cracked by somebody with an evil quantum computer, would Bitcoin die? No. What would happen is the consensus of the network of the Bitcoin users would simply say, hey, why don't we upgrade Bitcoin? This is the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. You can upgrade Bitcoin. It is programmable money. As much as the altcoiners refuse to deny that, Bitcoin is programmable money. So if quantum cracks SHA-256, so what? All we do, we'd have a quick vote. Yes, it would be chaotic for a week. Don't get me wrong. It would be chaotic if somebody with an evil quantum computer started double spending Bitcoin transactions. But what I think would happen is that we would just fork the Bitcoin blockchain onto a different blockchain that had a different encryption algorithm. All the other rules would be the same. 21 million Bitcoin, we would still have 16 years of transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. You would still own all your Bitcoin. And I honestly think not much would happen aside from that. So to answer your other question, Brock, no, I don't own any physical assets. I had a period of time where I had a nice diversified portfolio way back in 2018, 20% gold, real estate, tech stocks, Bitcoin, and cash. And I regret that. So with all that said, guys, I'm going to end this live stream here. I'm going to wish you guys a happy Wednesday. stay watching what BlackRock is doing.